Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful day here in Somerville, and we take a moment to pause and to remember those who are not with us today and are still yet unaccounted for, who have served our nation. Today is the POW MIA Recognition Day, which falls on the third Friday of every September. The people across the nation today, at this very hour, are taking time out of their busy day to just pause and reflect for a moment. We're so glad to see everyone here today, our elected officials, members of our veterans community, members of our city staff, and on behalf of the veterans of Somerville, I thank you for being here with us today. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the mayor of the city of Somerville, Mayor Curtatone.
Thank you, Bryan, and good morning and welcome. I do want to also recognize, and he'll speak briefly after me, a veteran himself, a member of the Board of Aldermen, community activist Matt McLaughlin, Alderman from Ward 1. But we're gathered here this morning, as Bryan just mentioned, to honor the heroes who've served our country. And just as we honor all those who have served on Veterans Day and honor those who have lost their life and paid the ultimate sacrifice in the name of service on Memorial Day, today on National POW MIA Recognition Day, we honor those who were taken prisoner and later released, as well as those who are still missing in action. And today, we still hear stories and accounts of those missing in action. Most recently, we've heard stories of those whose remains have been recovered and brought back home and put to rest, and they've been remembered. But National POW MIA Recognition Day was first observed in 1979. Since then, it has become a day each year when the nation pauses to honor returned prisoners of war and those U.S. military members and civilians who remain missing from past wars. But it's more than really just a day of honor and recognition. It's also a day of remembrance and a day of support. So today we pause to honor those who were captured and suffered the unthinkable before returning home, and we pause to remember those who still have not returned home, and we pause to support their families and friends and their ongoing search efforts. Today there are nearly 90,000 United States service members still unaccounted. 90,000. That is profound. From World War II, the Korea conflict, the Cold War, Vietnam, and the war on terrorism. 39 of those who are still missing in action are from the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And as we gather here today, they and their loved ones are in our hearts and in our minds. So it's essential that we take the time to say to them and to their families, you are not forgotten. And we must observe, honor, and remember each year. So this is a somber reminder to our nation of the sacrifices made each day around the world by our soldiers, sailors, Marines, and our men and women of the Air Force and Coast Guard. On this day, we are reminded to give our thanks to those who are served, those who are serving, and those who will serve in the future. And I personally could not be more proud and more thankful for all the veterans who have fought for our country. Some who are here today, we thank you for your service. Their sacrifices have secured the liberty and freedom we enjoy each day in this great American city. And that we never will forget. So today we raise the POW MIA flag as a symbol of our utmost appreciation and gratitude, but more importantly, we raise the flag as a promise of our resolve to never forget them. The responsibilities on each and every one of us to never forget those still accounted for and to comfort and support those who still grieve in silence. I want to thank our Veteran Services Director, Bryan Bishop. You know, full disclosure, I, like millions of Americans, would take this day for granted. And we take for granted, as the years go on, those who still are not accounted for. And to sit or be here with all of you to pause is very powerful and a powerful reminder. So Bryan, thank you for what you're doing to serve the veterans of this community and the Commonwealth and the nation. At this time, I'd like to introduce for a few remarks, the Ward 1 Alderman, and a veteran. I thank him for his service, Mr. Matt McLaughlin.
Hi, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Bryan, for putting this together. As Chair of Veteran Services, I wanted to be here. As a veteran, I wanted to be here. But I also have kind of a specific reason, a specific person that I wanted to remember, a man named Matt Maupin, who was missing in action, still missing in action. A man I never met, but when we were in Iraq, we scoured the earth looking for this person. Years afterwards, I remember my unit. He was not in my unit, but years later, we still we started turning over every rock, literally, looking through open fields for him, looking under cars, looking everywhere we could. Years after the fact, and it just meant something to me to know that soldiers aren't forgotten, that we're always looking out for our own, and there was going to be no end to it. And even now, even though there's no hope or belief that this person may still be alive, we're still looking to find his remains and to bring it back to his family. I remember when we were over there, got a call from his family because there was a story about our search for Matt Maupin. This was at least 2 years after he disappeared, and the family called and thanked our unit for continuing the search and not forgetting. So I think today is the phrase is never forget. And that's what's important to soldiers, to people in the military and their families, is even if there's no hope, there's the fact that they know that we're not forgotten and that we're going to keep searching for people and we never give up. So thank you, Bryan, for putting this great event together. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Alderman McLaughlin. At this time, I'd ask us to just take a moment, pause for a moment of silence, in honor and in memory of those who have served and come home, and those who for we still wait. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to bring attention to an item that we walk past almost every day in City Hall, and that is the POW MIA chair that is stationed outside of the mayor's office. It's spansioned off, and it has an American flag and POW flag on either side of it. I want to recognize a gentleman who, first of all, is not a veteran. He never served in the military, but it's been his mission in life to create those chairs and to have them installed throughout the Commonwealth and now throughout the nation. When you go to the TD Garden or you go to Gillette Stadium, you go to Fenway Park, visit the city halls and the governmental chambers throughout this Commonwealth, you'll see that POW MIA chair there. And it's always empty, and it always will be, because that represents our constituents who do not have a voice. We are their voice, and they're ever present in our mind, and they're ever present in our communities. So when you walk past that chair, think about the thousands of men and women who have served this nation. And whether they came home or whether they didn't come home, that amount of sacrifice has to be honored, just not at Veterans Day, just not at Memorial Day, not just today, but every day. Because every day is Memorial Day, and every day is Veterans Day in this country. So at this time, I would like to ask Mayor Curtatone, Alderman McLaughlin, to begin by raising the POW MIA flag, and those who are able to come and join us and to help raise this flag. If I ask all the veterans to come forward too, please, at this time. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes our ceremony for today. But as I said before, always remember, never forget, and that each and every day is Veterans Day and Memorial Day for those who've served this great nation. Thank you very much and have a great weekend.